Hello, this is Ed Spicer, and you are listening to my interview with Jody Feldman. Hello, Jody, and welcome to www.spicyreads.org. And thank you so much for talking to me about your first children's book.
The Gollywhopper Games?
Yes.
This book is called The Gollywhopper Games. It is about Gil Goodson, who, well, let's show the cover, and then I'm going to put it down so I don't distract myself. Okay, down. Okay, he is involved in a major competition which 25,000 kids can enter and only one will win, and it's a very grand, huge prize. And in it, there are games and puzzles that you can play along as a reader. And if you don't like games and puzzles, you can just go ahead and read straight through. But they're the games and puzzles that he has to play in order to win the Gollywhopper Games.
I noticed in reading this book that I was reminded quite a lot about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I noticed at the end of the book and the afterward, perhaps, that you purposely set out to do something like that. Can you tell us about that book?
There is a very good reason for that. I was volunteering in the school library and the fifth graders came in. One boy in particular held up his copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and said, "I want a book just like this one." The only problem was the librarian and the teacher could not find a book just like this one for him. Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator had been checked out, and he went away with a book in his hand, but not the book that he wanted to have. So he was very unhappy, and I determined at that moment that I wanted to write a book just for that kid.
You have told me that that when you were in high school or when you were in school, not sure if it was high school, but when you were in school, you hated to write.
I hated to write. I did hate to write. It wasn't so much that I hated to write, it's just that I found it very boring. It's because the teachers want you to write certain things, and you might either want to write something else, or I wanted to write something else, or I just didn't want to take the time to take the ideas that came from my head and take them and put them on paper with pencil, because we didn't have computers at the time. I had no intention of ever becoming a writer. If I didn't have to write if I never had to write again, that would have been just fine with me. But what happened was, I was in school majoring in psychology in college, and I did not enjoy the classes. I found myself at the University of Missouri, which has one of the best journalism schools in the country, and I thought, well, why don't I just take advantage of that? So when you go into journalism, you either have to write news, you have to write newspaper articles, or you have to write for radio or TV. I chose to write for advertising, which was nice and short. Little, sentences here, sentences there, headlines, little body copy. In fact, they say that billboards, the maximum amount of words on billboards should be 7 or 8 words. So I could do 7 or 8 words. So I thought, oh, I can do that. So that's when I started writing, and I actually kind of liked it. I was good at it, too.
When you've met with students, what is the single most asked question you get from kids about writing or about your book?
It's pretty much, I think, what most authors get asked most is, where do you get your ideas? And I've heard answers. I go to the Idea River in Africa and get my ideas from there. I just get my ideas from little things I hear here and there. This particular one did occur because I got the motivation from that one kid. However, I had to go about and start figuring out where I was going to go with this book once that happened. And it was just a matter of just brainstorming, thinking and throwing out different ideas all over the place.
Now, this is your first book. I am certain that it will not be your last book. Is there anything you can tell us about your new manuscript? Do you have a title? Are you really working on anything?
I have a title for this new book. I have not said it anywhere, but I will give this to you. It's called...
Woohoo, an exclusive.
An exclusive. It is called The 11th Level. I don't know if it will be published. I'm hoping it will. I think it's good enough. And I don't know if they'll keep the title, but I love the title. I actually started from the title for this. You talk about where you got your ideas, and for some reason that title just popped into my...
It sounds like a computer game where you try to...
No, it's not even close. Very little computer involved, actually, in this one. It is about a kid who starts getting mysterious envelopes with puzzles in them. Doesn't quite know what they're for. Suspects it might be part of an initiation for a secret school society. Meanwhile, there's a lot of mysterious things going on with these puzzles and the places that they take him.
So you write your book, and you're an author now, a published author now. So your next one will be automatically published, just like your first one was.
Oh yeah. They're just going to take it up, and they're going to pay me $1 million, and they're going to publish it, and they're going to find it all over the place, and there's going to be a movie the next day. Actually,
only 1 million, because I think Twilight and J.K. Rowling got a lot more than that.
1 million to begin with. That's just for the first week, and then the next week they'll just add in more. I mean, that's the way it works. No, actually, I have to go through the same process I did before. It's going through my agent, and once my agent thinks it's good enough to go to the publisher, we'll submit it to the publisher, who will then decide whether or not they like it enough to go ahead and publish it. And it's the same process all over again. I am not at a point where I automatically have the next book. It's just not just there. So they have to make it.
It sounds to me that anyone who has a real hard time with criticism, maybe writing isn't the career for that person.
No, you have to have a very thick skin. You have to be able to take rejection, and you have to also be able to take constructive criticism. All the criticism is meant to help you with your work. So that anytime anybody gives you ideas or suggestions, you have to realize that they're doing it because they want you to make your work the best you can be. So if you take it in that spirit, it's not that big a deal. You just have to think into yourself, is that part of the story I want to tell? Is that the changes I want to make? And you just go from there. You take the criticism because it's part of the job.
Well, thanks for talking to www.spicyreads.org, Jody. And can you hold your book up for me one last time, please?
I can be Vanna White.
All right.
There we go.
There we are.
All turned around.
The Gollywhopper Games by Jody Feldman. Thanks again. Somebody came and tapped you with a wand and said you are now a writer, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
You have what it takes to win.
I hope I do. Do you? Thanks, Ed. It was fun.